Well, at least we know stupidity runs in that family. And welcome back, folks, to another episode of the Brian Heeraman podcast. This is episode number 37. What a week we've been having. But thanks a lot, folks. Thanks a lot to all my old listeners for tuning in. Thanks a lot to my new listeners for joining us, and a special welcome to you all. It's a it's been a busy week. It's been a very, very hectic week. I'm looking at my laptop here and all the different topics that I want to talk about. I mean, everything is all color coded in a it's like a Christmas tree. So much to get to. I'm not quite sure if I get to all of them, but I'm thinking I'm definitely going to go over my time in this episode. So my apologies if I do from up front. But like I said, it's been a very busy week. But first of all, before I start off, let me just take this opportunity to remind everyone that this podcast is available on all major podcasting apps, including Google Podcasts, iTunes, Twitter, YouTube, and for international friends, this podcast is available on Spotify as well. And what could be considered some breaking news on my part, if not for this podcast episode, I'm going to have a Facebook page up, especially for this podcast. If I don't have it up for this episode, I'm definitely going to have it up for the next episode. I'm not all too savvy with this whole Facebook thing. I myself never had a personal Facebook page, but I'm doing one especially for this podcast. So look out for it. I'm thinking with the Facebook page, we're going to get a lot more audience, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get a lot more people to listen and to share their perspective as well. So look out for that Facebook page, my friends. So I really don't know where to start up in all of this, but I did start the episode by stating not how at least we know stupidity runs in that family, and you all are probably wondering what am I referring to. But first of all, let me just say that the prime minister has COVID-19, or he was infected with COVID-19. Some people believe it, some people don't, but regardless of what, in his official statement is that he has COVID-19. And I want to take this opportunity to wish the prime minister a speedy recovery, a safe recovery, and a smooth recovery. Like I said, on this podcast episode, you will not hear you will not hear me speaking ill will about anyone, especially as it relates to health, because these are issues about family, and even the prime minister has family, and they will be worried about him as well. Also, DMX has passed away. He another rapper. I I have I don't know DMX music per se. Um, you know, I've heard some of his lyrics. It's not particularly I don't really particularly like his lyrics, but he passed away. God bless his soul. I mean, all I know of DMX is acting skill, and oh my God, he can't act. But like I said, that's all I'm gonna say about that. But I started off this podcast with talking about stupidity runs in that family, and you are probably wondering what exactly am I referring to. Well, you all heard the horrible news on Friday, and this one is pretty hurtful, whereby His Royal Highness the Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, passed away. That is the Queen's husband, and they were married for like 73 odd years. I mean, can you imagine that taking place now? 73 odd years. And of those 73 years, he stood by her side as a consort, um, as she controlled the crown in the royal palace for 70 years. I mean, unheard of. I mean, I can't. Maybe it happens now, but in this generation, I don't see it. But you know, the royal family is something that the world looks upon. I mean, it's something that we idolize. I mean, you see, when it comes to the marriage and how to take place and how they live in life, just look at Prince William and Kate the Duchess. I mean, it's amazing how these people operate, and I just value their way of life and their standards and their principles and their values. I mean, I can't wait for when Prince William actually gets the throne. I mean, I'm not a fan of Charles, but nonetheless, when the royal family and you'll see when Prince William's finally accede to the throne, you're gonna see it's gonna be like a rebirth in the royal family. Everyone is gonna be so it's gonna be so amazing. But enough on that. Back to this whole thing about the stupid family thing that runs in your family. In my last podcast episode, I think it was my last episode of probably the previous one, I call Clarence Rambert a joker for his statements. His continuous, ridiculous statements. If it's not about foreign currency, it's about doubles or something ridiculous. Clarence Rambert always wants to talk about. But here it is. And this is why I say stupidity runs in a family. Now, here it is, his wife, Camille Macmillan Rambert. Here her statement. And this has to do with the death of His Royal Highness, Prince Philip. Hear what she has to say now. May the murdered souls of our captured and enslaved ancestors welcome him. Transition well, sir! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! Really, really. This is why I say stupidity runs in a family. Someone has passed away, and the best that you would have to say is to go back and fight some ancestral battles as though you were enslaved, and this whole enslavement affecting you, and you lost something that effect. I just don't understand her. But going back to the whole point about the Prime Minister's COVID-19, there was a whole bunch of comments from people, emotional comments. People have their point of view with regards to how the Prime Minister operates, and they were wishing him ill will. And some people saying they wish he died and all that stuff. But how is it possible? How is it humanly possible that you could have such evil thoughts about Prince Philip, and the same token have such goodwill for the Prime Minister? You don't want nobody to wish he ill. He's sick. But you can have such evil thoughts about Prince Philip, and this doesn't just goes for the fact that about just for in this topic as well. When it was Donald Trump who was infected with COVID-19, what were the majority of people in Trinidad and Tobago saying about Donald Trump? Those who don't like Donald Trump based on his policies with regards to how he was dealing with Trinidad and Tobago. Did anybody wish him good health? I can tell you one thing on this podcast. You heard me say it, our best wishes for Donald Trump. And I'm saying it again for the Prime Minister as well. But what about all those people now who all of a sudden found principled character and all sorts of holiness, and they become such benevolent people? Don't wish Rowley bad. But when it's for Trump, you had nothing good to say about it. We didn't even hear your voice come out to condemn everybody talking about it. But now you found voice. I even saw this guy, Chinese laundry guy, who commented about he wishing the Prime Minister ill will and talking about all those people that hate. Really hate? I didn't hear you talk anything about Camille Macmillan Rambert when we should talk about Prince Philip. Nothing. I mean, Philip Edward and Alexander responded to Chinese laundry. Oh my God, funny as hell. But still, getting back to the point, the heart of the matter, the main point. You didn't say anything as it relates to what this woman has to say. You just go silent. It's like you want. I've always said on this podcast, you see double standard. A double standard would always be the end of a society. When there's rule for one, there's principle for one, and there's something totally different for the other. That type of behavior is going to be the end of what takes place in some societies. That will unravel everything. That will create division and sow discourse to the point of view where I don't know. I don't even fathom what's going to happen. But you see, that type of thing, that type of mentality, that does not augur well for a society, as developing society. A third world country like ours that has bigger problems than just this whole division. But it's not going to assist. But that is just me saying that. I mean, you all see what's going on out there for yourself. You all see what's taking place. But we get more to that. I mean, 50,000 people travel over the Easter weekend. And, they travel to Tobago. But, the Prime Minister said Tobago was the place to be. But lo and behold, after all, one would have thought that for the Easter weekend, there would be some sort of restriction on traveling to Tobago to prevent gathering. Trinidadians, we like to fret, we like to party, we like to have a good time. That's just in our nature. But you want to invite people to travel to Tobago, and I don't know where the Prime Minister got this whole COVID-19 from. But like I said, it's a sad situation. I am interested though as in finding out what treatment is going to be used to administer to him to ensure his recovery. Because as I recall, when Donald Trump was infected, they pumped him up with all sorts of antibodies and antibiotics and all that stuff from different companies. I believe there's treatments for COVID-19. I mean, the media won't tell it in Trinidad and Tobago. The government won't tell you about treatment because obviously they don't want to go through the hassle of accessing it. But I am interested to find out what the Prime Minister is being treated with regards to COVID-19. I can't believe that he's going to be at home just trying to ride us through. At his age and given his medical history, he needs all the assistance he could get. I want, when it was Donald Trump COVID-19 infection, it was media conference, basically daily from his Surgeon General dictating and telling the whole nation what was being done to treat the President of the United States. I haven't heard what is being done. I mean, I know that they sent him for MRI or CT scan or whichever one it was. But what is being done? What is his actual treatment like? What are they giving him? I mean, did they write the US and ask for those vaccine, those treatment to be FedEx out and delivered over to Toronto Tobago to assist the Prime Minister in his recovery? Now, I have no problem if it was done for him, I mean, get it down here as quickly as possible to get his man back on his job as soon as possible. We want him back well. But my problem is that if it is that is what is being done to treat him, I'm not saying that's what's being done. He may very well be sitting at home just trying to ride it through. I mean, great if he does that. But if it is that treatment is being accessed for the Prime Minister, then my question is, and I hope somebody in the media asks this question, is it that you can access treatment for the Prime Minister based on the three treatments available in the US, but you can't access treatment for the other people who are infected with COVID-19 right now in Toronto Tobago? I mean, what is his treatment like? They may very well say that, what, Brian, you're overreacting, you're overthinking. But these are very valid questions and points of view. People died in Toronto Tobago. The borders are closed as a result of COVID-19. What is being done? I saw as well the opposition walked up. They didn't go to Parliament because valid thing. I mean, if it is that restrictions, lockdown, quarantine is for the normal man and the Prime Minister who, as according to the opposition, was been exposed and people have been exposed to him, then why is there no lockdown? My own experience with regards to COVID-19 is that this is just a means of control, a means of trying to shift the nation's attention away from the major and the real issues that are affecting us right now to COVID-19. Now, what is the major issue affecting Toronto Tobago right now? I don't know which one to talk about right now. But it's the economy right now. If I have to pinpoint one of the major issues, it's the economy. Because what's taking place in the economy, oh my, we're going to get to that. We're definitely going to get to what's taking place in the economy. Because at the end of the day, if we don't find a way to move to some sort of recovery, wow, folks, wow. Now, we get to the economy in a while because we've always chatted about the economy in this podcast, and I want to try something different this time around. Let's put the economy on the back burner for a little while. Let's talk about something different. Let's talk about this whole Attorney General hiring his wife law firm at the office of the Prime Minister. Now, he didn't actually hire his wife. That was done through the office of the Prime Minister. But what I find interesting about the entire scenario is that the Attorney General, the Chief Law Enforcement Officer as it pertains to legal matters in Toronto Tobago, he advised all the ministries as to how to proceed on matters. There are attorneys in the Attorney General office that helps and assists different ministries with regards to their legal matters. He has no problem with his wife being hired via the office of the Prime Minister. As a matter of fact, he's saying that his wife is forbidden from getting work through the Attorney General office, but that doesn't mean she can't get work through different ministries. No. I tend to support that because I think at the end of the day, his wife is a taxpayer and therefore she's entitled to get work like any other taxpayers, provided that she follows the proper channels. Now, whatever channels established, I don't know if it's some sort of procurement, or if there's whatever they set out, whatever regulations they set out to ensure that the process is free and fair, then so be it. But to come now and complain about Watson Duke, wife getting contracts at Wassa, I think you need to have, you need to be somewhere from Mars to not see the irony in that whole situation. Because at one point, you're the chief law enforcement officer in regards to policy laws and that sort of things, legislation. But you have no problem with your wife being employed. I mean, there's no issue of integrity or anything in that. But you have a problem with Watson Duke? Wow. It's like I said, folks, it's the double standards that will lead to the unraveling of this society. Because at some point in time, folks are not going to be able to stomach it for much longer. But anyhow, let's go on to something else now. Let's talk about, I see what's taking place with the Commissioner of Police daughter and her husband involved in a traffic stop. Now, at some point in time, I would have said, when you saw the wind prepare to reap the whirlwind. And as much as I'm in total disagreement with regards to the manner in which that traffic offense, that traffic stop took place, the events that unfolded in that whole situation. But I want to say to the Commissioner of Police, I want to say to you, you saw the win, you damn well sure better be prepared to reap the whirlwind. Because your attitude, your behavior, it encourages that type of situation with those police officers. The manner in which they approach your daughter, the manner in which they dealt with your son-in-law, you saw that type of behavior. And it's not just going to be with those officers who you so-called didn't want to transfer and you weren't getting involved and they all of a sudden were transferred. I'm sure you had no part to play in transferring them. Obviously not, because obviously you said you weren't going to get involved. I figured they transfer themselves, or the senior officers that's got some light bulb in the head and they transfer them. But whatever. I don't want to get involved in that, because at the end of the day, what took place with them, fine. But what I'm saying to you is what's to come down the road. What you're creating with these police officers, with your behavior, with your mentality, with your attitude, and how you deal and interact with the public. That, my friend, is going to be the whirlwind that you yourself is not going to be able to control. That tornado that you're preparing, I hope you are ready for it, because you are not going to be able to control it. I now see that's how your daughter and your son-in-law intend to take legal action. That's their right. I think anybody who is treated ill by the police service ought to take legal action. But the sad thing about it, the only way to get recourse in this country is to go to the High Court. And very well, you may have to go very further than the High Court, depending on the situation. But everybody can't afford to go to the High Court. Everybody can't afford to a lawyer at 10 or 14 or whatever $1,000 it is to take to go to the High Court to get justice. Your son-in-law and your daughter may be able to afford that, and you yourself may be able to do that. I read your statements and I saw the video. It's appalling how these police officers behave. I just don't understand how police officers could tape with their phones a traffic situation and then post it on social media. Now, if they say that they want body cameras, then give them body cameras, let them tape it. I don't think that how every traffic offense after it takes place, that it should be posted on social media just like that. I mean, his son-in-law was talking about how he do have a fireman, but he apply for his fuel. Your officers, by their own actions, are creating targets in this country. Nobody knew who your son-in-law was before. Nobody cared to know who your son-in-law was before. But they brought it upon, your police officers brought it upon. Now, what I'm saying, it doesn't just exist with those officers. That situation is being created across the service because of your behavior and how you deal with the public. When you call people cockroach, and when you want to interact with them as though they are less than a human being, the police officers have some law onto themselves. You have this one on TV. Jesus Christ, Commissioner of Police, when will it come to you that what you are doing is creating a police force that is against the population, the law-abiding citizen, and the law-abiding citizen will stop giving you information to the point where you're going to be unable to do your job. They're not going to be able to communicate with you. A simple traffic offense like that, just imagine that, a simple traffic offense, and look where it reached, to a legal High Court matter, pre-action protocol, that statements being given. It's going to cost the taxpayers money, God knows how much, thousands of dollars, when you're providing they win their case, your daughter and your son. Like I said, I don't agree with the stopping manners was done. I think police officers need to be given some training. I remember quite clearly when Stephen Williams was Commissioner of Police, he was talking about customer service for the police officers. That went out the window. Long ago. If it's one thing, Stephen Williams recognized customer service skills needed in the police service. But like I said, it went out the window. But here comes you. This is your opportunity, and you are dropping the ball at every single turn. You're only interested in what's going on now is because it's your daughter and your son-in-law. And I agree, you should have a special interest in what takes place with your family. But I'm saying, the double standard you're creating there, the police service, the two types of police service you're creating here, the one that's sitting back and that's watching you and allowing you because they don't want to have anything to do with it, and the second one who's going out there and acting as though the law-abiding citizen, which is your daughter and your child. You see how the police officers interact with them? They are law-abiding people. They didn't do anything wrong. A simple traffic offense, simple as that, whatever the traffic offense was. And I don't know, what was the rationale for stopping these for stopping your daughter and your son-in-law? If they're not charging them, then I think something is wrong with that. You pull them over, You didn't give them, well, there's no citation in Trinidad. You didn't give them a traffic ticket or nothing like that. So why you stop them for? So is it that the police officers can see law-abiding citizens driving on the road or walking on the road, and for whatever reason, stop them for just stopping them sick? Is that it? Is that how it operates? There should be some sort of law that mandates that police officers pulling over citizens must have a reason. They must be given some sort of indication that something is wrong. And not just because, they always want to set up because it's a rasta, they just pull over the rasta and see what's going on with them and that kind of thing. I'm not saying that's the situation that took place here, but I'm saying that there must be a reason for police officers to pull you over. There must be something that grants the police officer some sort of suspicion that something is taking place, and that's the reason why he pulled them over. You can't be just simply profiling people, as accurate as a profile may be, but it has to be something. I mean, look for some sort of reason to pull you over. Is that it's like your tail light was out? Is it that your number plate was down? Light was break or something? Something has to be otherwise we're going to have police officers pulling over law-abiding citizens for no apparent reason. Look at this thing here. They didn't charge. They say fog lamp because you don't have the instrument to charge for the fog lamp. If that is the case, I'm not even quite sure if fog lamps is part of the vehicle in terms of how it's recognized. You pull them over, you didn't charge them. So you wasted everybody's time and you created this whole scenario for what? This whole situation for what? It makes little or no sense. We have to have some sort of control. But it's good to see that it's taking place with your family. Maybe you might change your mind as to how it operates. And remember when I was saying it how what you're creating? Here it is. 4 SWAT officers in custody over the death of Andrea Barrett's suspect. 20 of your police officers were questioned apparently over the death of the suspects of Andrea Barrett. You know why? You know why they felt as though they could abuse the men the way they did and beat them, and the injuries that these men suffer. It's borderline in torture. They don't even do those things to people in war crimes. What your officers did to those 2 men. And it's all because they felt empowered. I'm not quite sure what you said to those SWAT officers when they went out there in search for Andrea Barrett, the kidnappers for Andrea Barrett. But whatever it is that you said to them, they felt empowered to do what they did. And the fact that you wouldn't come out and say that this is wrong or speak firmly about what took place, it shows that we are not heading down the wrong road. I mean, I don't want to describe the injuries because, like I said, it's gruesome injuries. But you are breeding this mentality into the police service that is destroying the police service from within. Because there are lawyers out there who are very smart lawyers, and they're going to take you to tax for it, and they're going to milk the state because of your stupidity. Maybe it comes to the point now where, officers should be held accountable for their own actions once it's providing to be negligence. If it is not something that the state has responsible, like, the officers went beyond the call of duty and they did something, then maybe it's time that negligence be on their personal capacity. And that would force them to operate, within the law. I don't know. Something that needs to be thought about. But like I said, officers of sort questioned in the kidnappers' death of Andrea. But more than that, remember I said how you are breeding this? A serious fisherman was killed by cops. Now, from what I saw, this guy had gold chain and all that stuff. And what from the reports of the parents, the mother and his ex-girlfriend and his current girlfriend, they are alleging that the police officers came to rob this man, that he had no firearm. But we don't know the true scenario of what took place. But what we do know is that your actions are continuing to breed this type of policing, this type of Gestapo type policing, where you have to wear your mask, otherwise the police are going to charge you. Like I said, you can't find major crime, but your Gestapo type antics, your Gestapo type policing force. Enough on Gary Gifford and this whole thing. I think I've said a lot on that. So let's switch focus now. Let's go back to the economy. And on a positive note, I want to say that the Bank of Baroda officially became Answer Bank. So they have now they've bought all the shares of Bank of Baroda, and now Answer is now controlling the bank, which is a good thing. It shows that how there's still some level of confidence in the economy, but Bank of Baroda was always on the way out. They never quite seem to have some sort of interest or some sort of significant or even I don't know even minor market share in this insurance big. So they were always on the way out, and I think Answer took the golden opportunity to buy out the Bank of Baroda, and by buying out the Bank of Baroda, they also got their license and the ability to transact business as a bank in Trinidad. Well crafted deal, and I see former Minister Leigh Hunt and I think it was Gerald Whitefield, who was Republic Bank. They are now going to be heading this bank, and then they're going to be doing the bank on a whole technological drive. They wanted to have a more online approach to the bank, and that's fine. But that's the right idea, folks. That's where the positive aspects of this economy ends on this podcast, because now we go into the reality of what's really taking place beyond the Bank of Baroda and Answer becoming Answer Bank. Here's what's taking place. Some of you may not remember this, but Joe Biden recently invited the CARICOM members, two CARICOM members, Jamaica and I believe it was Dominica, to a meeting. This Joe Biden invited these two CARICOM members while our Prime Minister, Dr. Rowley, is head of CARICOM, chair of CARICOM, significantly bypassing Dr. Rowley. Let that sink in for a moment. Let us think of when last a similar situation happened under Donald Trump, bypassing this prime minister. Folks, I'm saying it, and I've been saying this for quite some time. This prime minister relationship with certain elements in this CARICOM region is going to lead to us going down faster than we are right now. And this latest snub is beyond just curious. But we'll leave it right here for the time being. So, on another point, I saw with interest as how a UA researcher, I'm trying to get his name here for you guys, because I want you all to understand what's taking place. I think it was Dr. Suratan from the University of Western is talking about how he wants to see that how the TT dollar devalued, and he said the TT dollar, he said that it must depreciate. He's not asking for depreciation in a rapid context, but something slow. And he's saying that how this depreciation could go to all the way to be from anything between $8 and $10 for a US dollar. Now, that is just one side of it. Let's go back down to something else, something more recent. I'm old enough to remember when this prime minister went to open the Nike plant. Him and the Minister of Energy, and it was, Nike is the greatest thing ever. You probably heard me say that on this podcast. Lo and behold, the only thing booming in Trinidad and Tobago was Nike plant, and booming in not a good way. Booming as an exploding. Nike plant, the hydrocracker, I believe it was, exploded. And if you saw what took place on that day when that plant exploded, or the part of the plant, they call it a component failure. God alone knows how that plant was allowed to start up in the first place. The Ministry of Energy and the Environmental Management Authority, they are doing the independent investigations. The curious part to me about all these investigations is that the Ministry of Energy has a stake in Nike plant in terms that they are being, Nike that is being supplied gas under the minister's shares, and Nike products has to be purchased by the National Gas Company, or to be Nike products has to be repurchased by Heritage Petroleum or something to that effect to be resold on the international market. It is interesting to me how the Ministry of Energy can investigate something in which they have an interest in. Why can't it be an independent probe? And the independent probe will make a determination as to whether a plant is safe for operation. It's quite curious, because Nike plant, right now it's suspended operation pending the outcome of the investigation. What is going to happen with that plant? Because clearly, for an explosion like that to take place, it's a significant explosion. Now, Chris, I'm reading is putting them on rating watch. Chris, nobody cares what your ratings are. You're just another puppet institution established by CARICOM to provide ratings on something because you're afraid about AM Best or what Standard and Poor's are going to do, or Fitch. You're just afraid, so you want to find a separate rating because you apparently understand the Caribbean better than Standard and Poor's and all these international rating companies. Whatever, that's an entirely different issue. But this whole Nikon plant, like I said, I remember quite clearly the opening. Isn't it not strange that every time this Prime Minister and this Minister of Energy goes to open something with regards to industrial estate, it's a mess in a matter of weeks? And you're wondering what I mean by that. ANV drilling. You remember that? Are you old enough to remember ANV drilling when the Minister of Energy talked about ANV drilling making exceeding the expectation with regards to oil, pumping out oil from the ground in oil barrels? Lo and behold, only to be told that the oil is not even real. They're just inflating the numbers in the box. It's not even real. I mean, this country, something is wrong, you know. And today I read on the papers. Something that I read even earlier on, whereby Dr. Terence Farrell is talking about how the economy the energy sector is in total decline. And Roger Hussein today on the Channel The Guardian, he's talking about how this country is, the IMF projection of growth in this country is just too optimistic. And the country is almost broke. He's talking about the economy in peril. Dr. Terence Farrell and Dr. Roger Hussein as well. Valmiki Arjun, lecturer at the University of Western, he as well. But not just them. They're not just agreeing with what I am thinking all along. Mariana Brown as well in today's Guardian, same thing. Because there's no policy position by this government with regards to rebounding this economy into getting this economy clicking again. Nothing, no matter what we look for. And it's not just because of COVID-19. This economy was in peril long before COVID-19. The numbers just don't add up. A debt to GDP ratio in excess of 80% is suicidal. Continually borrowing is suicidal. Using your money from your heritage and stabilization fund to pay salaries doesn't make sense. You think this IMF projection about growth of 2.1% or next year's or this year is making any sense with COVID-19? With per man out of the industry, who's going to make up that shortfall in revenue? Where's it going to come from? Huh? Those numbers that they supplied to the IMF included Proman's projection of revenue. With Proman's gone, are they still going to make it? Are they still going to make the growth flare? Are they still going to have a foreign currency? If it's one thing for sure that bet your bottom dollar is going to break this whole private sector insurance Tobago's back, is going to be the unavailability of foreign currency. You watch and see. You're already hearing talk about how certain companies planning to pull out with regards to the... We get to that in another episode because let's wait for the news to crack on that one first before I unleash on that one. But it's taking place right now. It's taking place as we speak. There are no solutions to the problem. You heard the Minister of Finance at some point in time ago. I think it was in the 2019 budget review, mid-year of the economy. He was talking about the economy is booming. The economy made a big turnaround. Everything is going all good. But here we are today where we can't even see in front of us. Now, this is what Mariana Brown had to say. I want to quote Mariana Brown. This is a quotation from Mariana Brown in today's Trinidad Guardian. He's saying, unless fiscal and structural reforms are implemented in a timely manner to strengthen the economy and grow the economic pie, the country's performance will weaken. Development is about people growing in the capacity, thought, and orientation. The country needs coordination and cohesion and a disciplined approach in thought, words, and deeds. Now, Brian saying that. I mean, you heard it from me before, but that's Mariana Brown. And if you don't respect that guy, I don't know what else you're going to respect. If it's not Mariana Brown, like I said, it's Dr. Roger Hussein, Dr. Valmiki Arjun, Dr. Terence Farrell. I mean, that guy, Terence, I don't know. These are the warning signs that the economy gets from their scholars before bad things start to happen if you don't take the right approach. They don't just come out and talk like these things. They very few of them have political backing or political support. These are professionals, these are scholars, and they are warning you based on what they know that bad things are about to happen if we don't put our house in order very, very quickly. But every podcast episode, you're going to hear Brian come on talking about how the economy is going down and things not happening. But that's just what it is. Meantime, the president of quarantine, you know, I mean, she is the best quarantine person ever. You don't ever hear from this president of Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, sometimes I even forget we even have one. She got the vaccine. Her mom got the vaccine. God knows who else is going to get the vaccine. At the rate that they're going right now, it is going to take over a year to vaccinate everyone in Trinidad and Tobago. Probably more. Because we don't know where the vaccine is coming from. The US might probably vaccinate the entire population before we even reach quarter of our population. It's like everything that you can tell, you know when you're in University of West Indies, or if you're not there yet, you will get there soon enough, hopefully. They always talk about how case study. Trinidad is a case study on what not to do. Somebody's going to write it eventually. Possibly me myself, I write something on that. Just to show the world what not to do in a pandemic and an economic crisis. Folks, it's not getting any better. It's not getting any better. And unless something changes dramatically, we are in for a long and a rough ride. So, moving away from the economy, one of the major topics, and I probably should have started off with this as well, because I did start it off by wishing everyone well who was sick, the Prime Minister, all that stuff. But the Soufri-ere volcano in St. Vincent erupted, and our heart goes out to the people of St. Vincent and all that stuff. It's a traumatic and a tragedy to watch what's taking place there. But I don't know. I can't even imagine the trauma that's going through those people with regards to moving and having to evacuate their home and leave everything that they've worked so hard for. I mean, at the end of the day, people will say that it's material things, your life is more important. But remember, these people work so hard for these things, whether it's farming or it's just crazy. And I think I'm glad that Trinidad and Tobago is extending their arms with regards to assisting them. I'm not quite sure how we're going to assist them, especially with the borders being closed. And you see, these problems we create on our own, because I'm pretty sure that we want to take in some of the citizens to extend our open arm and our olive branch to them so that they can have some sort of comfort. But when you have the borders closed and you don't want to allow your own nationals to come back in Trinidad, it makes it difficult for the population to even accept other people. When you find a tragedy with a volcano erupting in St. Vincent, but you don't find a tragedy taking place in Venezuela with regards to the citizens running away from a brutal dictator, it's like what they're doing right now with the economy. They're creating losers and winners in the economy. Restaurants can open, but bars can't open to the extent because there are restrictions and regulations. Movie theaters halfway closed, but something else open fully. It's like the state is telling the business community what is right, what is wrong, what businesses they prefer, what businesses they don't prefer. But going back to the whole issue of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, like I said, it's a tragedy what's taking place across there. I hope the Caribbean mobilizes and do something to assist them. I read recently that they expect more eruptions and even larger eruptions than 1979, which was huge in on itself. But let's pray for the best and let's hope that nothing major takes place with regards to that volcano erupting. But having said all of that, it would be wrong of me not to ask the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and Grenadines, what preparation did he take or did he make for the nation with regards to ensuring that when this tragedy does take place, because they knew it was going to happen at some point in time, what did the government do to ensure or to protect their citizens? Because you just can't, yes, it's a volcano eruption, yes, it's a tragedy, but you knew it was going to happen at some point in time. What did you do? What measures did you take place? Did you create, I don't know, folks, because at the end of the day, I know Trinidad and Tobago, we should help them. We should help St. Vincent, and I hope we do. But I also know it's not just St. Vincent, and I also know we have our own problems and our stuff. I also know that when these people do come to Trinidad, we have to find jobs for them as well. We just can't put them up just like that. Life goes on. There's not even enough jobs for Trinidadians alone with regards to this whole COVID-19 restrictions and lockdown. I don't know, folks. Thank God I'm not a policymaker at this point in time with regards to that. It's heart-wrenching to take place. heart wrenching to even think about what's going to happen. So, like I said, I went over my time. I know I went over my time. I apologize, folks, but there's just so much taking place this week. And I get the feeling I may have to extend these podcasts a little bit. Like I said, I'll do it like how the plans to for the devaluation of the dollar, if it does happen in incremental stages, that's where you won't know it take place. But something has to happen. And I like I said, I know I went over. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. And I hope you tune in for episode number 38. And I'm out.